Well, congratulations again. You did such a fantastic job in this. And I just want to know, when you first read Dahl's book, what was it that just touched you?
Well, when I grew up, there weren't many writers that wrote like that. You know, he didn't speak down to kids. You know, he kind of captured the sort of slightly sinister, politically incorrect, but emotional, light, dark. You know, he had it all in there, and I think that's why it had such impact on me. You know, and it's considered a classic book that way, because he really knew how to tap into that sort of thing that I think certain adults forget about when they get old. When you get older, you kind of forget that weirdness of childhood that he captured very well.
Exactly. And then you get the rights to do this, and you were adamant, I want to follow the book, which it should have been that way from the beginning. But there's so many things in this movie that you could have just used CG, and you built everything from scratch. Talk about, woo.
Well, that was important to this because, we do use some CG, but it was important because, again, the thing about the book, it's such a textural book, I mean, it's about chocolate, it's about, in the way he describes the family and the bucket house and the, cabbage soup and the thin, all of it was really important to try to capture that in the spirit. And also the same thing with building the sets. Especially working with kids, and a couple of the kids hadn't ever done a movie before, so we just felt it was important to get to be in the environment, and to make it as textural as possible. So we, built the sets, had real Oompa Loompa, Oompa Loompa puppets, and squirrels, real squirrels, just to give it as much reality as possible. And also, we spent months trying to find the right consistency to make the chocolate and give it a weight, and so it didn't look like brown water, things to kind of give you the feeling like you're really there.
What drove you the craziest?
Well, each room had its particular, charms. The chocolate room, which we started in, was great. We built it in the James Bond soundstage, so I think the visitors going in there thinking, what kind of a James Bond movie is this? But that was great for a while, but after a couple of weeks, it started to smell so bad that we couldn't get out of there fast enough. And, dealing with squirrels is kind of an interesting challenge. Squirrels are squirrels.
Training squirrels. I just could not believe it.
When I get depressed and think about how bad I was feeling, I always go visit the squirrel trainer and think, well, you know what? My life isn't so bad after all.
Absolutely. Okay, fifth collaboration with Johnny Depp, including Corpse Bride. But, what is it about this guy? Why does it work so well with you two? And what just keeps surprising you about Johnny Depp?
Well, that's it. He just, he's an actor that likes to play characters. So that's the fun that's why I like making movies, is to see somebody transform into something else. And, he does that, he's an actor that doesn't want to be the same in every film and always pushes the boundaries and I enjoy that, I mean, that to me, so it's always exciting for me to see what's going to happen next, and especially from film to film, it just gets better that way for me.
How much input did he have on his take of Willy Wonka?
Oh, well, it's with Johnny, it's a real collaboration. I mean, he has lots of input. I mean, it's our process is that we just sort of discuss things in the abstract, and then it just sort of organically. I mean, we don't even know kind of what's going to happen at the very beginning, but I think that's the exciting thing about it. It's like it's a weird kind of journey, and no, but he has it's him doing it, so he's it's a lot of input.
Yeah, it's spectacular, just spectacular. Freddie Highmore, as I was watching this movie, I was thinking, are there really any children left in this world as good as Charlie?
Well, that's the thing, and that's the thing about Freddie. He is that, I mean, when I hadn't seen Finding Neverland, but when he walked into the room, it was like, just knew it was him, because he's got a gravity. It's something you can't even quite verbalize, and so, the way Charlie is in the movie is kind of, I think, the way Freddie is as a person too, because it's he's got a gravity to him that you can't really direct. It's not something, you can bad kids you can make bad, but a good kid is it's a hard thing to do.
What about the other kids in the film, working with them? I mean, they all were perfectly cast.
Well, it's hard casting kids, because it's harder, I think, than adults, just because they've got to. But it's funny, each one, when, after seeing a bunch of kids, when the ones that ended up in the movie, when they came in, I just sort of knew it. I mean, it's a weird thing. I don't know how to describe this. You see a lot of kids where you'd see it would be like the TV show version of it, but these kids all had sort of a cinematic quality to them. I mean, it was a weird feeling I had. I met a lot of good ones, but these ones just seemed to have you could see them on the big screen. You know what I mean?
They worked. They're great. Deep Roy, I hope you paid that guy zillions of dollars for what he went through.
Well, he was the hardest, I have to say, probably had the hardest working, he was the hardest working person on that movie for sure. I mean, he was, hundreds and hundreds of,
Well, in terms
I get
of shooting
tired just thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of shooting that, the logistics of that had to have been the biggest challenge for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had a couple of units going, because it was so many different elements. I mean, the only good thing about it, the one good thing about using, as opposed to doing it all CGs, is that, we could actually use him in shots. If we had certain camera angles with lenses and stuff, we could, he could interact with Johnny as opposed to having to always be comped in later. So, it was good that way, because again, it kept the human level alive in it as opposed to relying too much on special effects.
He was fantastic. Finally, are you sick of chocolate? Now, do you order just white cakes for your birthday from here on in?
No. Well, first of all, I hate I don't have birthday parties, so that doesn't matter anymore. No, I'm not. I'm not a big candy eater, but I like my dark chocolate every now and then.
So you're not tempted to stick your finger in that right now, at all?
No, that's why it's behind me. Because if it was over there, I'd have it move behind me.
Pour it over my bed. Anyway, death by chocolate, that's the way I want to go. Tim, thank you so much. Yeah, in that scene,